understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroic and clever.
You have failed this city.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
Because where I'm from, your grandson becomes the greatest hero in the universe.
I started up a security firm.
I'd really like to meet Batman.
Finally, a superhero team I can actually get behind.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, August 17th, 2019. I'm Edward O'Hare, nickname to be determined.
And I'm Sara Netzley, academic by day, freelance writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And we have 4 new episodes this week for 3 shows, one of which is a finale.
Yes.
And what type of finale is that, Ed?
It is a series finale.
Play the violins. We didn't know as we watched it, but
yeah,
the news broke. So we will get to that.
Yes. Oh man, lot going on. So much happening. We have a lot of treats for you. There's an email that came in from our buddy Dan. That is going to be a lot of fun. We'll get to that when we get to Titans, which I don't think we have any news for this week, but we're going to talk about Titans. I forgot to tell you that, Sarah.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to throw in that news we rejected just to have it, or
no?
Okay.
Well, throw in the first one of those that we rejected. Little bit of pre-show planning during the show, but that's fine. See, this is that peek behind the scenes that no one's asking for.
Look, we ripped back the curtain. Aren't you happy?
Oh man, I'm in a good mood. I saw The Farewell last night, and I did not cry my eyes out, so I'm very proud of myself. Yeah. We got DC stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. How are you, Sarah? How are things?
Well, I was supposed to attend an outdoor Big Bash live music birthday party for a friend today, and woke up to pouring rain. So I gotta say, that's going to be muddy and awful, and I am too old for that. I was too old for that 20 years ago. I'm too old for that now. Shakes fist at the heavens.
Ugh. They don't have tents. They don't have a.
I should. You know what? There's a website set up for this party, like an actual dedicated. Like, it's hardcore. I should see if there's updates on there. They've got a parking area and a shuttle designated. Like, this is big. I was really excited. So we'll see how that goes.
Jeez. All right.
So, as per usual, Ed is really up, and I am Eeyore.
No, that's not true. All right. Wow. All right. You want to jump right into the episode?
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to just get this started? All right. So the first one's a twofer, so I'm going to read both of them, and we're gonna talk about it all at once. So the first one up is Pennyworth, Season 1, Episode 3, Martha Kane. Esme's father disapproved of her relationship with Alfred based on his class. Alfred was hired by Martha Kane to help a homosexual computer scientist escape the country. Dave Boy got incredibly drunk and crashed Baz's poker game. Bet and Peggy Sykes paid a visit to Mr. and Mrs. Spicer. Last minute reveal, Lord Harwood was tossed out of a paddy wagon and dragged himself across a gravel road, missing his nose. Season 1, Episode 4, Lady Penelope. Alfred joined Martha on a mission to unmask the new chief of the Raven Society. Esme stayed with Alfred's parents for the day and got Mr. Pennyworth to warm up to her. While Lord Harwood crawled down the back alleys of London, Bet Sykes got bored and had a spat with her sister. Last minute reveal, Alfred raced home to find Esme dead in their apartment.
Well, that didn't take long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cold-blooded.
I didn't want to believe they were going to go there, and then they went there.
Yeah. 4 episodes in. We're like, now. You don't get to be happy, Alfred. You don't.
Well, we kind of knew he wasn't going to get to be happy forever, because, Esme's not in the scene, really, later. But to their credit, I sat in silence and wrestled with this for a little bit. Like, is it a fridging? Is it not? She had 4 episodes. She had motivation storylines. They did make her a character. They made us feel that loss. They gave her. I'm shakes fist that it happens, but it's if they had to do it, I guess they did the best way they could. So now he's going to be all guilty because he kissed Martha before the murder of his loved one.
Yeah, and I was screaming during that kissing scene. I was like, no, Alfie, no, this isn't you. Yeah.
Oh, I kept waiting after all that talk about you're a one woman man. She's very lucky. Blah, blah. I was like, oh, they're gonna end up like on the run in a hotel that only has one bed. I kind of saw where that was headed, and it wasn't quite the way I thought it was gonna work out. But yeah, I saw that writing on the wall.
Man, she's supposed to end up with Thomas. Man.
She will though. It's okay, and she will. We know how it's gonna go. But it's gonna be weird with Alfred, like forever. Okay,
yeah.
It was a kiss. It was not that weird.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I loved Martha. She was great.
Yeah.
Feisty. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's interesting the way they're playing, like you definitely see that this is the 60s. There's a different approach to society and that kind of thing. So the expectations on a woman are very different than they are today. And kind of the way, she Martha kind of has a chip on her shoulder and she feels like she has to prove herself. And I think she does. Yeah. And Martha Wayne is a character that we don't really know much about at all. And I really thought that she has a lot of personality here.
Mm-hmm. She does. A lot of agency. She knows how to conduct herself. And, I thought she was tough. She was calm. I did think it was her worried about the scar was kind of cute. Like, I don't blame her. That was going to be when the doctor said, oh, only 8 or 9 stitches only. Oh. And then that was a very big needle. So yeah, Martha endured some things last night.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I watched last night. To me, it's still last night. I was late.
It's okay. Yeah. And, in the first episode, with her, I guess that was basically like the story of Alan Turing. If you've seen the movie The Imitation Game, it seemed like it was a take on that. Just kind of it was funny to see her like determination, like, no, we have to get them out of here, we have to get through this. And Alfred's the one who's on his feet and goes like, okay, hang on, just give me 2 seconds. and seeing him act as a go-between and a negotiator between Martha and the Raven Society, I thought that was very funny. And also clever the way that he was able to get to light up that runway with that stream of flaming gasoline.
Yep. And I really enjoyed the happy ending of the boyfriend being like, nope, I'm getting on the plane. That was nice. I needed that. I didn't know what was to come, but I needed that at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, what else was that guy gonna do?
That's fair.
To me, that was the only option. So just to okay, let's talk about our bad guys. So who do you think's having a rougher time here? Bet Sykes or Lord Harwood?
Lord Harwood. 100% Harwood. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. When he came out missing that nose, oh man. That was creepy. That was I don't even want to think about how they did that.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was going to bounce back. I honestly thought he'd be back on top of the game within a couple episodes, but no. Not yet.
No, and he's got that one guy on the street who's like looking out for him and feeding him and helping him out. So it looks like they're playing the long game with him. It's gonna take him a while to get his step back. But when he comes back, he's going to be very, very angry. And we got to meet his replacement in the second episode, Dr. Francis Gaunt.
Who some of you may know as Duckface from Four Weddings and a Funeral, Anna Chancellor. She's great. Good to see her again.
Yeah.
At least that's what I know her from. Did you get a super Hot Fuzz vibe from this episode?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, good. Glad it wasn't just me.
When they go into the village, they go into the tea room. Yeah, and the way that place crawled out. But also just as a villain, Dr. Gaunt, I like kind of like the tongue-in-cheek way that she's smiling about all of this, but she's really in charge of something that is very, very evil and dastardly. I like the way that they're playing the villains in this show. And it's the kind of thing where the characters are very animated, but all of the violence is very real. And the action scenes are incredibly well thought out and strong. And there's a sense of urgency to that. But just the type of villains that they have in here, it still makes it fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice that we have kind of those main villains that are weaved throughout Bet. And I don't know if Lord Harwood is a villain at this point. He's just, I'm still not over that. And then you get these side villains. It reminded me, early reporting on this show talked about them sort of reinterpreting bad guys and sort of these mythical whatevers, and that it would explain the Ripper connection last week. So we might have more of that to look forward to as we move along, these sort of creative, unusual, dastardly, but where's the woman next door's face? I'm digging it. I'm really digging it.
Yeah, and the Sykes sisters. First, what's that whole deal where they just walk into an old couple's home and make them subservient to them, walking around in their underwear? What's the deal?
Well, I believe that was an exercise of power, Edward. Well, it sounded like the sister clearly had some pre-existing relationship with the husband that she was leveraging, but I sort of like the gaps in that narrative that we start with them ringing the doorbell, and the next time we see them, everybody's in their underwear cleaning the house for them, cooking eggs. It's just like, oh, some stuff went down and we didn't see it, but we didn't have, like we talked about last week, it's like the shark from Jaws. We didn't have to see the shark. We just have to know what the shark did. And in this case, the shark was the Sykes sisters doing terrible things to an elderly couple.
Yes. And in the end, the spat that they had, that fight all through the living room, oh man, that brought back some childhood memories. And oh man, to think that two siblings could have a squabble like that when they're still that age is frightening. Mm-hmm. It's frightening.
Yeah. I that's not, listen, I have a sister. That's not how sisters fight. That's,
Okay, I guess we grew up.
I've never once hit my sister with a radio.
Oh, okay. I guess we grew up in different households.
Was Irene vicious? Was she just like?
She's terrifying. You have no idea. The way the way I explain my siblings is I'm the big boisterous, hey, let's go get him. My brother is the calm, cool, hey, we got this. And my brother's more of a quiet guy, but very funny. And my sister is very detail oriented, plans everything to within an inch of its life, and strikes fear in the hearts of all around her.
She seems so lovely on Twitter.
Oh, she's the best. She's the best. She's the best. And please don't hurt me. But this is the joke that we have, is that we love each other, and I am deathly afraid of her. Anyway, so but the Psych sisters, so I think Bet just seems like the kind of woman who she needs to have something exciting going on around her at all times. Does that seem fair?
Yes. I actually do know people who I've seen it cross their faces, I'm bored, and will turn and start something. And it could be, let's go out of the house and do this fun activity. And it could be, I'm going to pick a fight with you now. So I've seen it in a minor way. And that is kind of terrifying, that unpredictability. And especially with somebody like Bet, where I'm bored. Oh, the way she exercises that, EXORCIZES, that's horrifying. Also, her wig was on point. That was a really good wig. That has neither here nor there, but it's good wig work.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah. Now, the big thing, do you think Bet killed Esme?
I assumed it was Bet. When somebody was knocking, I said to Jason, oh, well, that's just, a psycho blonde British woman. But the shoes looked like a man, right? We saw shoes. It looked very masculine. So I am not sure. That's either a misdirect that they're going to have to explain, or it was bad. Do you think she did?
I'm leaning towards no. No. I mean, I am expecting Alfred to like when we get back to Alfred, he'll be standing over her body, and then Bet will show up like she was going to surprise her. And have a tea party, because that's the kind of deluded friendship she thinks she has with Esme. And
yeah,
when I
think there's too much feeling there for murder.
Yeah, and when she sees Esme on the ground, she will flip out and begin hunting her killer even more viciously than Alfred would have. I think
I'm into it. I'm into an uneasy alliance between those two to figure out who and why.
Yes. Just because, like I am very interested to see Bet. Like, we've seen what she does, just like how crazy and vicious she is for no reason. And when she's righteously angry, that seems absolutely frightening. And I can't wait to see that.
In the best way.
Yes. And it's, man, and Esme, she finally softened up to Mr. Pennyworth, and she got Alfred's dad to kind of, show her some photo albums, and it seemed like the way that she was integrating, you could tell that they were very happy, that both parents were very happy for Alfred, and things were moving along well, and this is just gonna be devastating.
She hugged Alfred's mom and got her in on the wedding planning. They had awkwardly loud sex in the family home. Yeah, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything more you have to say about these two episodes? Is there anything you feel like we haven't covered?
Just I am surprised by how much I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
Oh, did we need to talk about the head in the jar?
Oh.
Or is it enough just to say head in the jar?
Yeah, head in the jar. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, man. And I am sad to report my mother has not seen these last two episodes. Because her birthday was Monday, and my siblings and I got her a subscription to BritBox, and she has been glued to that for the last 5 days.
Oh, that's adorable. Oh, does she love it?
Oh, Bletchley Circle. She's switching off between Bletchley Circle and Prime Suspect. And then she discovered a documentary called Born to Royalty last night, and it was over. And
I can't think of anybody more better suited for BritBox than your mom.
yes. My dad has been giving me dirty looks all week. This is cutting in on his Star Trek reruns. But all right. Is there any news for Pennyworth?
Actually, yeah. The Collider had an interesting interview with showrunners Bruno Heller and Danny Cannon, talking about sort of why they wanted to do the show and inspirations and things. They said they wanted to do it because Alfred is in the frame but never looked at, so he was ripe for exploration. Also, he's 1/3 of the figurative DNA that created Bruce Wayne. And so this show is exploring all three of those influences, the Thomas, the Martha, and the Alfred, although two of them were actual DNA. You know. But that's, he just really wanted to get into that. He said when they started talking about the show, 5 seasons flashed into their heads immediately. He said, in fact, if you don't have some idea of what episode 9 of season 4 is going to be, you're probably not developing a very good TV show idea, which I thought was really interesting. As somebody who does not do well with plotting books, just sort of says, let's see what happens. That intimidates me, but it was interesting. The last thing that I thought was super cool, and it's a great interview if you want to go to Collider and give it a read, is they have tried to keep the violence realistic compared to Gotham. They're very different worlds. They talked about that. But in the 60s, camera equipment was so heavy, you couldn't carry it up and over a rooftop as your actor was doing these high-flying stunts. You'd have to keep it on the ground because it's so heavy. So they've tried to film things like you have those 60 style cameras that are heavy, stationary, stable. And so that's why the show looks the way it does. They're filming it kind of old-fashioned to reflect the time period. I don't know. It was a very cool interview. Very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool. Yeah. I mean, you see, if anyone's seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino's new film, which is in theaters as we're recording, you see, he shoots a lot of 60s TV in that. And it's interesting to like a lot of those same techniques now that I think about it, the way they're shooting like Bounty Law, which is the show Leonardo DiCaprio's character was the star of. Has a lot of that same thing where everything's everything on a rooftop. It's a low angle shot from the ground. But so yeah, they're keeping with that style. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I thought so too. I hadn't picked that up before, so I was glad to hear it in the interviews, so we could kind of start looking for it. How was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, by the way?
I adored it. I loved it.
Okay.
Yes,
cool.
That's all I will say.
Okay.
All right. Ready to move on?
Yeah, please.
All right. Next up, Preacher. Season 4, Episode 3, Deviant. Cassidy shared his backstory with the Archangel in his cell as he awaited to be moved to Bensonhurst. Tulip was frustrated waiting for a Grail doctor to clear her so she could search Masada for Cassidy. Arseface made the Saint of Killers stop for food at a bathroom break. Jesse entered Jesus Desaad's house of entertainment. Last minute reveal, Jesse hallucinated Tulip as his plane fell out of the sky.
And I have a very important question, and that is, who brings a clown to an orgy? It's not okay.
No.
R.I.P. to those people who died in their group sex costumes. That's not a dignified way to go. Maybe they died how they lived. Maybe that was. I was just impressed with their ability to shift gears. Like, you're at Desaad's house for one reason, and then you've got to go fight some preacher in the hallway to the death. It's just a big shift, downshifting.
Yes,
and they did it really well.
Yes.
But
Yeah, and that fight, that was one take. I loved how they panned out and did like the full widescreen at one point, and that was so insane, so insane. That may be that just that shot of that fight scene. Maybe it's definitely the best in my opinion, the best fight scene on this show up to date, and maybe the best thing I've seen on television this year. Like just the scope of that and the intensity and just the absurdity of it.
Yes.
Was incredible.
And one of my favorite things about Preacher is how creative they get with their fight scenes. Whether it's not showing things, that season 1 when you did the fight through the knothole, loved it. And this was one of those where they had all these different styles and camera movements, and then that 3-panel wide shot was incredible. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I still don't feel like we got enough of Jesus in that storyline. It's weird. Like he showed up, and then I feel like he popped up again, and then he just shot him.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, I feel like there's more to go on in that house.
Well, you are correct. Have you gotten to that in the comics?
Yes.
I feel like there was more in the comics, but it's been a while since I read them. So
yeah.
This whole episode, I by the way, we led with the only part of this episode that I liked. I'm usually a big Preacher defender, but I did not enjoy this episode. The whole episode, I felt like they did this in the comics, but better.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of how I felt with all these, the cast stuff. It was so close to his backstory, which I adored, but it was just different enough that it's like, why?
Well,
just do it like they did it in the comics.
Okay. So I just read that storyline in the comics. And what I will say, and it's weird because this is kind of another show on this network. This is more of a Preacher versus Preacher thing. But what I will say, the main change was his brother dying, right? That was like the big thing. And to me, I thought it made a little bit more sense in the show, and it gives him it gives Cassidy a different motivation. And whereas like in the comics, it's more like he runs away because he doesn't want his brother to see him like this. And in the show, it's more like he feels shame for putting his brother in that situation and getting him killed. And that's why he doesn't want to face his whole family. So, I don't think it's, I don't think it's better one way, but
it wasn't, I was gonna say it wasn't bad. I just didn't like it as much, but you're saying it's good just in a different way.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I guess I was just generally, the characters are where they were at the start of the episode. Nobody has advanced. We got flashbacks and we got, Tulip's, Rorschach stuff was interesting, but it didn't tell us anything we didn't know about her. It was fun to watch. She's such a great actress. I just felt like this was really wheel spinny and flashback heavy. And here's where everybody's gonna be like, oh, she's being such a prude. But like, I do not need 3 episodes of circumcision jokes. Oh my God. And I'm not a dude. Like, this is just not, I don't know, maybe it's more visceral cellular level horror for you. And episode after episode, you're like, yeah, this is terrible. But oh my God, come on.
Yeah. No, that scene where Cassidy's in Bensonhurst and he has that he has that
the
machine
deli meat slicer.
Yeah, that was maybe I was screaming just as loud as him with him while I was watching that. But yeah, that was intense. I will agree with you on the Tulip storyline. I thought that was just filler. That was that was just fat, completely unnecessary.
And I am frustrated. I feel like season 3, they spent so much of the season apart, those 3 main characters. And now season 4, they're doing the same. And I understand, like, I think where they're going with season 4, so I get why they're doing it. But it feels like we've had our main characters apart more than we've had them together. And that it just isn't working for me quite as well. I don't know. I feel bad being so down on this episode because I really usually like Preacher. But I don't know. And then you've got Eugene and the Saint who are fine, they're there, and Hitler was there, and anyway, I guess in conclusion, turtle pie is better than whiskey. That's what I'll say about that.
Okay. I think, I would prefer a turtle pie to a glass of whiskey. I thought for a second that Saint of Killers was going to just abandon Arseface, and the fact that he went to help him, I thought that was interesting. I am incredibly surprised that we actually got the sex detective in this show. And
for just a little bit.
Yeah, and I will be interested to see because they only killed one of them. So is the second one going to turn up again?
Likely. Yeah.
You
don't have a sex detective, and you don't show a sex detective in Act 1 and not so back in Act 3.
Yeah, are they actually going to explain that? So I enjoyed that storyline. I thought it was fun. I thought it was glad that we finally checked in with those guys, and Hitler's appearance to Jesse at the airport, and kind of laying his cards on the table. I am interested to see. The thing I thought that was interesting is that we didn't get a lot of forward progress in this episode, but now after this episode, all of the chess pieces are on the board. I feel like everyone's in play now, and I think it kind of sets the season up nicely so that we can spend the next 7 episodes charging forward to the end.
From your lips to Dog God's ears, because yeah, that's what we need. Mm-hmm. The show baffles me by continuing to make Jesse such an unlikable douche. I do not understand. In the comics, he's like this romantic hero, cowboy guy who doesn't always get it right, but he's trying. Here, he's just awful. I don't understand it. So if they could see what they could do, I don't know, about not having him shoot a kid in the head and then being like, oh, all right.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was one interesting thing where it's because I was talking about this with our executive producer, Bill Sweeney, the host of Preacher vs. Preacher.
Well done. Did you get your paycheck? Did you?
Yes. When Eugene and the Saint are in the diner, and Eugene's explaining to him that he thinks, he just wants that apology from Jesse, and he thinks that's what's going to be transformative. I think Eugene's right. Like, I think that's the one thing that Jesse legitimately regrets, is saying that words. And remember, Jesse has not seen Eugene since he told him to go to hell. So, I was actually thinking, if Jesse goes back to Hitler and says, okay, I'll help you, but these are my terms. And I think that would be interesting if one of them is, you have to release Eugene from hell, and Hitler can't because Eugene's not there anymore. And if that causes an extra strain between Jesse and Hitler, I think it opens some interesting story possibilities. Yeah. That's what I'll say.
As always, I'm optimistic that the show can skid out of or into something interesting, because they usually do. But I don't know. This one just was a little frustrating for me.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll see if it picks up next week. Was there any news for Preacher?
A couple interviews out there in the ether with the costume designer, with Dominic Cooper himself, but nothing that really impacts, I think, understanding or enjoyment of the show. So it is trucking along on its final season.
All right. So our final show for this week is Krypton series finale, the Alpha and the Omega. Druzad vowed to squash the last of the rebellion. Jaina led a battle against Sagittari forces, while Seg and Lyta snuck into Kandor to make a plea to the people. Nyssa swiped the paraplegic Adam's Zeta device and beamed over to a beach somewhere. Last-minute reveal, Brainiac told baby Jor-El to sleep as he set his sights on Earth.
That is quite a cliffhanger that we are never gonna have resolved.
Oh, yes. So yeah. Let's talk about the episode first. And interesting place. I thought the battle between the rebels and the Sagittari, I thought that was really interesting, and I thought the way that they kept flashing back and kept cutting back and forth between them and Seg and Lyta trying to make their plea to the Kandorians. I thought that was very well done. The fact that it ended with Seg and Lyta having to beat the crap out of their own son was interesting. And I thought it was interesting that Seg almost went too far, and wondering how the crowd would have reacted to that if he'd ended up, literally, if he'd ended up killing Druzad by accident.
Oops.
Yeah, and it's weird because like the seasons, it's exactly what you want out of a season finale, where it wraps up all of the main driving forces for through the season. So your big storyline gets wrapped up, but it sets up all of the interesting things that you could explore in the next season.
Yes. Yeah, you could definitely see the arcs they were going to be exploring in season 3, possibly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My main thought was, I don't know, murder Zod, maybe? Just like, anytime you keep somebody alive like that, you're asking for trouble, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but we just made this whole plea to everybody about compassion and and
compassion after this.
and be civilized and better than that. So,
I guess fine, whatever.
The Black Mercy is a good fix. I mean, if they
good callback.
Yeah, if he remains undisturbed, that thing could, keep him tied up for years. But
yeah, true.
True. Mm-hmm.
I did wonder if somebody in the writer's room got $1 every time some character said Neil.
Yes.
They said Neil a lot.
Yes.
Throughout this season.
Yes. Oh. Here's what I will say. We found out what Cameron Cuff's homage to Christopher Reeve was, and I gotta say, I almost pulled a tear when that happened.
Oh,
when he when
did it work for you?
Oh man, when he stood up straight and said straight out, "General, would you like to step outside?" Oh, that hit me out of nowhere, and oh man, that just it gave me a very warm feeling inside. Yeah.
I do not fault any of the actors for my occasional struggles to get into this show. They were all really good at what they did. And I listen, I've gone as long as I can in this episode without saying it. Nissa Vex could sideswipe my car, slap me in the face, and steal my boyfriend, and I'd still ask her to marry me. She's amazing.
Yeah, man. She was ruthless. She had no idea how to work that thing, and
she didn't care. She was doing it.
Now, there was a little bit of controversy about what planet she ended up on. I don't know if you saw this, but comicbook.com reported one thing, and there were other sources who were saying other things about, because on that beach she encounters all of those dead people, and she doesn't know where she is, and then she finds an omega symbol written in blood, or some type of red substance. And then she looks up and she sees all these people with wings flying in the sky. And some people thought that omega symbol meant dark side, and that those things flying in the sky were parademons, and that was going to be. The other answer that I think is more likely is that she ended up on the planet Ran, which is where Adam Strange told her, like, that's the default planet for that device to go to. and that Omega symbol was for the Omega Men, which is a cosmic super team that we've heard the producers reference that they wanted to meet, and that those people in the sky were Thanagarians, and that we're in the middle of the Rann-Thanagar War. So like if we'd gotten a season 3, Sarah, we could have gotten the Hawks. We could have gotten Hawkman and Hawkgirl.
So here's my interpretation. We were at the end of Planet of the Apes. Charlton Heston was there, and the Omega was a nod to his Omega Man role. What? Did anybody think about that?
Okay. And what? Those are the flying monkeys from the Wizard of Oz?
Sure, I didn't have a Heston connection for that. I was trying. My first thought, of course, was Hawk People. So, Hawk People. That's my answer. Final answer, Hawk People.
Yeah, and we it doesn't look like, as of right now, it doesn't look like we're gonna get a resolution to that.
Is this where we talk about it?
Well, one other thing that we got to see. So Seg can't walk. I'm sorry, Adam can't walk. Adam Strange can't walk. And the way that they solved that, Val found a rocket suit for him to wear, which is the same color scheme as his jetpack and suit and costume in the comics. So we got to see Adam Strange suit up in the red and white. And I was happy that we at least got to squeeze that in before the show ended.
I will say the Adam Strange stuff all felt like comic fan service to me, which is fine. That's fine. But when he talked about how he got the time travel doohickey and then the jetpack, and he kind of name checked some people, I don't know any of that stuff. I don't know the backstory. I didn't care. But I was assuming it was making you, Ed, really happy.
Yeah. So the scientist that he's talking about, the reason he doesn't like him is because Adam's in love with that guy's daughter, and that's the main thing in the comics. It's Adam Strange is basically a huge ripoff of John Carter of Mars, except they put it on a different planet. And they're a bunch of scientists, and he's the one warrior who could defend them.
Okay, that's not the character as we saw on Krypton.
No.
I wouldn't say warrior is not what I would say there.
No. But yeah. And all the stuff about baseball and the Detroit Tigers, that has to be Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns is from Michigan. He's a Detroit Tigers fan.
My worst graduate school professor was a big Tigers fan, so that was unpleasant. That's a me thing, though. It's not Krypton's fault.
Okay.
But no, I will say I did come around on the show this season. It got fun and interesting. And can we talk also about the romance, like soap opera of it all, of hooking up with your daughter's betrothed?
Yeah.
Well, not hooking up, but that.
Yeah. I mean, Jada and Dev. Man, I mean, like, it's weird because, like, that feels like it's
you get it though. I got it. Like, yeah, they've been through all season long. They've had each other, and that's it. So I was there for it. I was into it.
Yeah, that's like 8 episodes coming. Yeah, that was fine. The romantic dynamics on the show are so weird.
Yes.
And I was texting Bill Sweeney updates on this show. Like at the commercials, 40 minutes in, still no Lobo. And then finally, I got to send him the text at 54 minutes into the show. That's when Lobo showed up. And of course, Bill's favorite hashtag, no Lobo, no show. And he basically showed up to say, hey, man, let's spend season 3 hunting Brainiac together. Shake, right after he peed in the corner. So we got that, and it's like a half decent movie from the 80s that didn't get a sequel, where you go like, oh man, this scene, guys, if you only knew. I think Sarah, that's the moment we could talk about the news.
Well, people, in case you haven't figured it out, It's been canceled.
Yeah. They dropped that 2 days after the premiere. I'm sorry, after the finale. So yeah. Is there any hope? Any hope, Sarah? Is there anything?
Well, there was some talk about looking for another home for the show, like possibly on a streaming service owned by DC Universe. That that season 1 already streams there. Season 2 is going to land there next year, so that could be a possibility. I don't know, Ed, does that seem reasonable to you? That would be something that could happen?
Yeah, I think it does. I think the only thing that's really going to make a difference here is budget. Is like how different is the budget for a DC Universe show compared to Sci-Fi. I mean, the reason it was canceled is this is one of those network dynamics where Sci-Fi is owned by NBC Universal, and Krypton was a Warner Brothers show. So obviously, if Sci-Fi can't make money off of it right now, the only way they have is the ratings. So yeah, that's kind of why it wasn't going to be profitable for them, and the ratings for this were not that great.
No, they were not that great.
No. So I think it depends on what kind of numbers because season 1 of Krypton is already available on DC Universe. So I think they kind of have to look as like, what kind of audience does that have? What does it have when they get season 2 on DC Universe? And I guess they'll decide from there. Although usually like with contracts, I think they have like 60 days or something to sell the show. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly the case here, but usually I think that's the case. Usually you have the actors on contract for 60 days after the finale, before they get released. So I don't know. I'm a little bit more hopeful, but I can't say I'm certain.
Yeah. This one does feel like it has a more natural outlet, unlike shows that are like, I don't know, Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, anybody want to, that's a little, it works sometimes, heck, of course, but this one has a more natural DC Universe fit. So we'll see, but boy, those numbers weren't great, but we'll see. I thought Cameron Cuff, who played Seg, had a very classy response to this on Twitter. He talked about how grateful he was and how he'd always be a son of Krypton. It was nice. It was nicely handled. And I don't know, Ed, what do you think? Swamp Thing, we knew it was canceled by the first episode. Krypton, we didn't know it was canceled till after the finale had aired. Which approach is better? Do you think it's better to give fans time to process it as the show is running, or to have a cliffhanger finale drop and then pull the rug out?
I think it's better to find out after the finale. Because then it could be, especially the way Sci-Fi did it, where it was like 2 days, just clean, right off. And Swamp Thing was really painful to watch, because like the better, and that show got better as it went along, and each great episode that showed up, it just tore your heart out, because you realize that like there's a finite amount of this and we're not getting any more. So I will say I'm sad to see Krypton go. If there is a chance, William Shatner, if you're listening, we need you. He's helped us out in the past, so we'll see.
William Shatner, if you're listening, just let me say, holy shit. That's all.
Yes. Yes, yeah, but that is his thing. William Shatner was on a Sci-Fi show that got canceled early, and I think one of the coolest things that he does now is whenever you have a genre show that a popular genre show that gets the cord cut early, he's right there at the front, on the front lines on Twitter, trying to bang it out and let people know that we want this show back.
Yeah, he's the guy.
And I credit him with the fact that we got a 2-hour a 2-hour finale for Timeless, that The Expanse ended up on Amazon, and that Lucifer ended up on Netflix. That's all thanks to William Shatner. So we'll see. And the other pairing that I think we should talk about, and we'll lump this news together because it was, we already talked about Lobo, and we're also Sci-Fi is also passed on Lobo.
Yep.
Yeah, which makes sense. Like if you're gonna cancel one show, it really doesn't pay to try to develop a spinoff for it. I will say I think a Lobo show would actually probably be a better fit on DC Universe than a Sci-Fi show would, than Krypton would. But I don't know. Maybe we'll just get a third and final season of Krypton, where Lobo and Seg are running around the universe, and that'll set up a Lobo solo show later on. We can only hope.
Look, all I'm saying is if they want to put Cameron Cuff in some sort of rom-com next where he has lots of natural light, that would be great. I'd follow him to that. Like I said, I loved all the actors. They were a lot of fun. I just needed a little more sunlight in the show. That's all. So DC Universe, if you pick this up, put them outside.
Okay. All right.
Give them fresh air.
All right. So let's go on to so that's it for Krypton. I think now it's time for
it's news, right?
Yeah, news for other shows. And yes, and you just heard that surprise sound drop that I've laid in. I've added a sound drop for news and a sound drop for winners of the week. So we'll see if anyone peeks. Sarah doesn't know that.
I don't know. So. I assume it's Ed just being like, news.
No. It's actually something a sound drop I pulled from the 60s Filmation cartoons. Just yeah.
Well,
just
cool.
The transition sound that they use, and then
I'm gonna hear it for the first time with all of you, so that's exciting, listeners. Okay, news. Batwoman
music.
So one of the villains on Batwoman this season is going to be Hush, which, and this is where, Ed, I'm hoping you'll tap in, is apparently a very Batman-centric villain. So there was some question about how can Batman villain Hush be on a Batwoman show? Well, Tommy Elliott, who is Hush, grew up with Kate Kane, so they're going to have a sort of childhood connection, and when she starts dressing and going about in a bat suit, he wonders if it's Batman, and that's how he gets sort of involved, I guess. So does that make sense to you as a comic reader?
Yeah, I mean, in the comics, it was the same setup, except Bruce Wayne and Tommy Elliott went to school together.
Okay.
And so it looks like they're just kind of like co-opting the backstory, giving it to Kate instead of Bruce.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Also, Batwoman is not going to wear heels. Her costume is going to have a boot. It's going to have a little bit of a heel, like a motorcycle boot heel, because she's going to be fighting, and high heels are ridiculous for that. Thank you, costume people.
All right, fine.
You fight in high heels, Edward. You fight in high heels.
It looks really cool.
They pointed out that Supergirl also wears boots with just that little bit of a stacked heel, and that's how they like it. And then, I feel like they do that on Arrow sometimes too. You'll see some of the Canaries in boots, but anyway, yeah, it's just as a high heel wearing American, I appreciate the difficulty of fighting those and the real worldness of saying, you know what, boots for everybody. So
yeah, that's fine. That's cool.
All right, moving on to Supergirl. This just a little bit, but in the premiere, we're going to see what sounds like a pretty small cameo from a pretty exciting person, Kate Micucci, who is hilarious and lovely and funny and one of my favorite comedians. And yeah, so she's going to have a little guest spot on Supergirl in the premiere.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
That's fun.
She's
That's
half
fun.
of Garfunkel and Oates. I don't know if anybody needs the, she's...
Yeah.
You'll Google her and be like, oh, right.
She was also my pick to play Sue Dibney. So I guess she's not going to be playing that part.
Unless Sue is on Supergirl first and then hops over.
Ooh, man. And then we're going to have like universe hopping. I don't know. But
we have a whole crisis coming. There's a whole crisis coming down.
That's right. Okay.
What if this is how we meet Sue and we don't know it until... Start your conspiracy theory engines, people.
Okay.
All right, moving on to The Flash. So the Crisis is not going to be separate from any of the 22 episodes of The Flash. It's going to be woven throughout the season. The villains, even if they're separate, I'm using air quotes even though you can't see me, are still going to be part of the Crisis tapestry. So this Flash sounds like it's going to be the most directly impacted by the events of the crossover. And Ed mentioned it before, but we are getting Sue Dibney. So that is happening. I'm excited. I cannot wait to see the casting on that.
Yeah.
I hear Kate McCucci's available. Also, according to a social media post by Daniel Panabaker, we are going to see the Hall of Villains this year.
Ooh.
So, am I correct, Ed? This is part of the Flash Museum?
Yeah. I mean, we saw little Nora playing in that in the Flash Forwards. So I guess they're going to actually build that in the present. So yeah, that's exciting. Star Labs finally going to be generating some revenue.
Yes. Exciting. So that's it for Flash. Moving on to Arrow, which as always has a million pieces of news. Arrow's PR people, they're working overtime and I see you. Most of the season is going to be spent outside of Star City. And the showrunner said they wanted to show Oliver's death at the end of season 7 so people could sort of process it and then they could explain it in season 8. So they didn't want to make it a surprise. They wanted us to know about it right away so they could then sort of play with how did it happen. And the villain of this season is the Crisis. That's what's going to drive everything. So I feel like they're telling us what this season's going to be about. Everything they say kind of adds up to some sort of time travel, planet hopping, visiting places from Oliver's past, being outside of Star City, obviously all of it leading up to the Crisis. I can't wait to see how this goes down. Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah. Mark Guggenheim recently, as in last month recently, came up with a new final scene for Arrow. He had something in mind. He came up with something else very recently, but logistically it'll be difficult to pull off. And if he can't pull it off, he said he will share the script page on social media. So we'll see what he hoped to do. And oh my God, if it doesn't involve bringing Felicity back, I don't even know what. Shirley Barnett, who plays John Diggle Jr., said he's actually only in a couple of episodes of this upcoming season. And then he said, quote, "I don't know if I'm committed to the world," end quote. And that led to quite a bit of speculation.
The heck does that mean?
He was tiptoeing into spoiler territory, pulled himself back and said, "I don't know if I'm committed to the world." I don't know if that means he's going to fake his death so the CW's like PR people don't come after him for spoiling anything. I'm kidding. Some people took it to mean that the world itself is not set, that Crisis could change the flash forwards we've been seeing or this or that. So there was a lot of speculation, a lot of it, I'm sure, baseless, but fun to think about.
Yeah. I wonder if like he's talking about his acting process, if it's like, I don't think I could commit to this world. If like I could be natural and be in the moment when wearing that costume. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It could happen. Maybe. Who knows? And let's see. And lastly, Stephen Amell and Kat McNamara won Teen Choice Awards this past week. So congratulations to them.
Yay! Good for them. Teen Choice Awards. It's always fun.
Yeah.
All right.
And Steve Bell didn't know about it and found out about it on Twitter, allegedly. So that's adorbs. Moving on to, okay, Ed, this is where our pre-show planning on the air is going to trip me up here. Titans.
Okay.
So we had 2 rumors. These are the first rumor. Okay. There is absolutely unsubstantiated, completely ridiculous, absolutely not going to happen rumors that the Titans will be in the CW crossover.
Yeah.
It is not well sourced. It appeared in a semi-big fan site, but semi-big for Titans is still pretty small, that the Titans will be in the crossover. I would fall off my chair if that happened. That would be amazing, but it ain't going to happen. Ed,
yeah.
You say things now.
Yeah. The real reason I wanted to talk about this is because we got a huge reaction to the Titans trailer that dropped last week. And from our buddy Dan Evans, who's co-host of the Deconstructing Dad podcast. And he is an editor by trade. He's a professional video editor. and I asked him to give us a rundown of why that trailer was so bad, and he sent us 4 paragraphs.
You gave him homework, and he did his homework.
So yeah, I'll just read it straight out. Dear Sarah and Ed, where should I start with this horrendous, minus the crypto cameo, trailer for season 2 of Titans? Well, let's just start right at the top. Going back and begrudgingly watching this trailer again for this breakdown, I have to say it is even worse than I remember it during the first viewing. The total length of the trailer is 1 minute 58 seconds. And of that, more than half, they used over 1 minute and 3 seconds of their precious time of it is recapping season 1 and doing a horrendous job of that as well. When was the last time you saw a trailer that recapped the entire first season? I'm guessing never. Plus, the recap of season 1 was confusing as hell. If I wasn't already aware of the season 1 beats, thanks to the wonderful recaps by you both, I wouldn't have even known that we were watching was from season 1 until I saw the "that was then" graphic. They had 2 minutes to build up season 2, and they squandered it with that abomination of a recap. I get that I get that it's supposed to be hyper stylized and that they may only be working off of dailies, but the second half of this trailer is as confusing as the first. What are the main plot points we're supposed to be seeing in season 2? There's no storytelling or setup. What the hell am I looking at picture-wise? It is too dark, physically too dark. I'm sure they don't want to give too much away spoiler-wise, but you can at least tease it. Slow it down so we can see a bit more of the new team and the new villains. Why not show a little more of Deathstroke's costume? Did you guys catch Ravager? I didn't until I watched it for the 3rd time. Show that there are changes, and then maybe why there are changes to the team by use of a flashback. Personally, I would have used different music too. I would have looked for something a bit more understated and used sound design to build the tension and excitement under it. Why not let some of the shots breathe a little more? Why not let the lines that they use play out a bit more? Show more of the new characters, like how Bruce and Tim interact, Donna and Aqualad, Superboy, and Krypto, to get the fans excited.
Krypto!
Sadly, they did none of that. Trailer cutting is an art form, and I am by no means an expert. I honestly know that I could have cut a much better trailer for Titan Season 2. Sadly, I was never asked. Until next time, Shazam.
Thank you. I appreciate the frustration and anger that drove you to write. I feel like that came from your soul, and I thank you for it.
So yeah. Thank you, Dan. We do appreciate it. And yeah. Okay. What other news we got?
Okay. So we have. Oh, that's one more piece of news. We should have actually done that first and then did Titans. Whatever. It's fine. Stargirl. Hey, Stargirl is going to be filming at the Douglas County High School in Georgia. They're taking one day, and they're filming on the football field. So, Stop the presses. Show about a high schooler is filming at a high school.
Wow. Do you think they're going to do like 7-on-7s or just blocking drills?
And I will mute your microphone. Actually, this is funny. Jason and I do sports in the same degree, which is not. And he is a man, and because the patriarchy is terrible, is expected to talk about sports with other men. And so at some point he started talking about the eye defense because he'd heard somebody talking about the eye defense, but he was talking about it with somebody who really knew a lot about it and really wanted to engage him. And he finally had to be like, no, that's literally all I know is it's called the eye defense. I think the humans form an eye with their bodies. I don't know if it's a human eye or a letter I. I honestly don't know. So...
Okay.
Football.
But Stargirl, that's a show. It's a thing. We're gonna see it. This is hopeful.
I spent so much time with Pennyworth being like, it's a show that is happening, and they gave us a show that I'm actually enjoying. So Stargirl, it's gonna happen. Joel McHale's in it. Cool.
Yeah, and I bet that was the highest rated news story, that little Georgia town newspaper has ever run on their website. All right. That's it for news?
That's it for news.
All right, now time for our winners for the week. And Sarah, you want to go first or should I go first?
Mine is pretty lame. So let's just, I had a couple options and I'm going with the more positive one as opposed to accidentally shooting people in the head, which was a runner-up. Honestly, it's Krypton. You turned me around, Krypton. I'm pouring one out for you. I'm sorry that you only made it to 2 seasons. If you make it to 3, you know what? I don't dread it. I would not have said that at this time last year. So, Nyssa turned me around and Seg was great. And, Kem with the thing and the Lobo and you know what? Good job, Krypton. My winner of the week. You won me over, mostly.
Good job, Krypton. Wow. My winner for the week is from Preacher, and it's Jesse's fight in the Desaad House of Entertainment. That fight upstairs. Just the filmmaking on that is and the stunt work of the fight choreography was insane. And I said it before earlier. It's one of the most cinematic things I've seen on television this year. And that's my winner for the week.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. All right, Sarah. We finished. We're done.
We did. Yes. Well done.
All right. And that's the DC TV report for this week. You can find us on Twitter at I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD.
I'm at Sara Netzley, SARANETZLEY.
And follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice and rate and review us. That helps more people find us. Check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer, Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam.
Shazam.